Hello and welcome back to a brand new review of an album I should have covered almost 2 months ago. It's been a minute, I know. That's mostly because I've been crazy busy with work. Hours have been insane. I'm lucky to have a job at all, and I like my job. It's a fun job, but it's a lot, and I've had no time to make these videos whatsoever, and so this is my very belated review of the new Green Day album, Father of All MFs. I could say it, but probably 6 people are going to see this video anyway, and I don't want YouTube to F me even further. So yeah, everybody's hating on this, and I think it's okay. It's all right. It's whatever. I didn't expect much from this, and the reason I didn't expect much from this is that even though Revolution Radio was good, it was kind of Green Day on autopilot, For me, Green Day are a band who were really good in the 90s, really good in the 2000s. I know a lot of people have kind of soured on 21st Century Breakdown over the years, and I kind of have too. But American Idiot is an excellent album. And then the trilogy happened, and the trilogy just kind of sucked. And, there were definitely good songs on the trilogy, and I think if they had edited a lot, if they had spent more time, compiled the best tracks from the trilogy and just sort of, really spent some time thinking about crafting an album instead of just vomiting 3 albums worth of material out at once, we could have had a phenomenal little back-to-basics Green Day album, which is kind of what Revolution Radio was, but, look, I'm somebody who thinks Green Day peaked with Nimrod, so, my opinions maybe don't matter as much. The album's alright. This video, full disclosure, this video is pretty much just going to be like Green Day memories. Like me reminiscing about Green Day and my perception of them and whatnot. And occasionally talking about the album. And yeah, like I said, American Idiot, I think that was the first time I really heard Green Day, but it also might not have been, because Good Riddance was huge when I was a kid. Like, I remember that got played every year at the middle school graduation in our little town. And yes, I did say middle school graduation because the town I grew up in, and I'm also currently recording this video in, was small enough and rural enough that we had a middle school graduation. And because we didn't have our own school system, and so, all the kids would leave and go to nearby towns, and so we had a middle school graduation. Yes, it's weird. But as I was saying, middle school graduation in this little town in rural Western Mass in the early to mid-2000s would play Good Riddance every year, which is really funny because that's a breakup song. And then, of course, everybody who was alive in the 2000s heard all the singles from American Idiot. Like, I have so many memories of hearing, like, Boulevard of Broken Dreams and Wake Me Up When September Ends, especially on the school bus, in my mom's minivan outside the library in like 2005, And I didn't process that any of this was Green Day. I remember once in it must have been, God, I don't really remember what year it was. It might have been 2010, but I can't remember because I was like 13 maybe. I'm showing my youth here. You know, stupid 13-year-old John was like, American Idiot. You know, that sounds like a witty satire of American Idol. And then somebody I knew was like, you are a moron. And I was. Because it was weird for me with music. Like, I had zero interest in albums and, like, being a big music collector and being super into music. You know, I always loved music, but I had no interest in it until I was about 13 or 14 years old. And then it was like somebody flipped a switch. And suddenly I was like, albums and artists and collecting and vinyl and so on and so forth, and it's been that way ever since. For almost 10 years I've been at it as a collector, and of various formats. And so I think the first time I really knew definitively who Green Day were was probably about 2010, because like I said, I just wasn't interested in it. It wasn't until I really got into Pink Floyd and I started to process bands and artists and albums. And, you know, Green Day are a band who have always been on the back burner for me. Like eventually I want to own most of the good Green Day albums. Today, I only have Nimrod and American Idiot, and it's been that way for a long, long time. And I have a lot of positive, like I said, a lot of positive memories of the singles for American Idiot, a lot of positive memories of Nimrod. There was a summer, some point in the mid-2010s, where I drove out to southern New York to meet my best friend who lives out there, and sort of outside of New York City, that kind of area of New York. And the whole way through, I was blasting Green Day, The Flaming Lips, and, you know, even at that time, this was not as embarrassing as it is now. Even a little bit of Tool, because that was the point when Tool were not yet definitively considered to be a band only for inbred morons whose favorite band is Limp Bizkit and who have never heard of good music. So yeah, I have a lot of good memories attached to some Green Day albums, but they're not a band who really interest me enough to be like actively, yeah, Green Day, I'm gonna pick up all their stuff. I like them, you know. Abby, who I'm pretty sure I've made fun of for listening to Green Day before, I was just making fun of you. I like Green Day. Anyway, so when this album was announced, everybody was losing their shit, and I was kind of not surprised. And I remember when my buddies over at Bloody Chuckle Studios did their big video on it, I pretty much said, it's alright. That was my thought on it. And like 3 months later, that's still my thought on it. I forget who said this. It might have been a friend of mine. It might have been Abby. It might have been somebody else said that this should have been Foxborough Hot Tubs 2. And that's kind of how I feel about it too. There's all kinds of crazy theories that this is a troll on the record label, you know, that their contract's about to expire. That they were given Reprise a big middle finger on their way out. I don't know if that's true. You know, they're at that weird, semi-washed up, you know, they're old but they're kind of hip, but they're old stage in a rock musician's career. A lot of R&B types don't have that phase. A lot of rappers don't have that phase. A lot of old school guys don't have that phase. But rock specifically just has that weird, like, we're old now. Our music kind of sucks. That weird, like, canonical phase that, like, every artist goes through. Like, very few don't have that phase. Like Tom Waits doesn't really have that phase. The Flaming Lips for a long time didn't really have that phase. Hell, the Flaming Lips are only now entering the phase of their career where Wayne Coyne is like, I'm old now. I'm going to be 60 next year. Like, it's a rock thing, man. It's a rock thing. So yeah, so the album itself, I thought was okay. Like, and it's weird because it's like, there's stuff on this album I really like. I really like the opening title track. I really like Meet Me on the Roof Tonight. You know, maybe it's just I'm a sucker for that kind of doo-woppy, retro 50s, sort of inflected through the 70s with some slight 60s qualities to it. I'm a sucker for that sort of thing, and I always have been. But like, stuff like I Was a Teenager, and just the fact that I don't remember anything else from the album, it's like, you know, it's a light 6. It's a light 6, you know. Do I think Green Day are irredeemable after this point? No, I think they could very easily make a good album. Do I think their best days are behind them? Almost definitely. At this point, Green Day have very little new to say. They're just sort of regurgitating things they've said before. Maybe even songs they've done before. I'm not sure. I will say there was a lot of dumb lyrics, a lot of really stupid stuff. There's hints and glimmers and hopes and ideas of things that could have been a much better album, but as it stands, you know, it's a 6. It's a light 6. Gonna give it the old My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy treatment, you know, gonna shave my head and grow a mustache and start calling myself Janthony Shantanthony here, the internet's busiest music nerd. Fantano is someone else who I have nothing against Anthony Fantano. I respect the grind, if nothing else. I'm not crazy about him as a reviewer, but that man has a work ethic that is incredible. I don't know how he does it, you know? Maybe that's why I don't like his review style. Maybe it's his work ethic. Who knows? Anyway, Melon okay, album okay, Green Day good, whatever. Time for the next video. I've exhausted all reasonable ramblings that I could have put forth in this video. Have a nice day. Hope to see you again.